India finds itself in the midst of a stubborn slowdown. What needs to be done to reboot India? We have with us here Mr. K.V. Kamath, clearly one of the most credible and respected faces of corporate India, to talk about it. Mr. Kamath, many thanks for sparing time to talk to us on NDTV. What's the sense that you're getting of the current economic environment? Are we seeing some green shoots finally, or do you think things will get worse before they get better?
I can probably say that things will get better from here onwards. We are seeing what I'd call the green shoots of confidence starting to appear. Now, why have they now appeared? I think it's consequent to a whole lot of steps, particularly what has been done by the Cabinet Committee on Investments.
Right.
Entrepreneurs are seeing that, well, things started to move, particularly with, let us say, the infrastructure sector related to power. Capacity which has been set up, no coal, now you see a clear light at the end of the tunnel. And some clearances on the environment side, some on the land side. I think some momentum is seen. And this is what is required to perk up entrepreneurial drive and spirit. So we are seeing that.
The so-called animal spirits.
Yeah, I wouldn't say the animal spirits are as yet roaring, but I think they clearly are prepared to look at what's on the table. So ready for the next step, as it were. So that's one part of it. I think the other good part of it is that nothing has actually fallen off the cliff as far as rural India was concerned.
Right.
Rural India continues to do well. And this year, with the good monsoon and value-added industries, services in the rural area should perk up. So we have a growth momentum happening in rural India, which we will see in the next 6 to 8 months. Services sector, the overall services sector in India is slowed down. But again, it's not off the cliff. It's come down from 11-12% growth to maybe 6 or 7% growth. I think this will provide some degree of momentum to the economy.
But manufacturing remains a precursor.
Manufacturing and infrastructure. The
Those
problem areas are manufacturing and infrastructure. Manufacturing, it could have been much worse than what it is.
Right.
I would, as a lender, probably say that I'm happy that it has not deteriorated further than what. Growth, which was, let us say, double digits in the manufacturing sector, is now probably in mid-single digits. So I will take it for the moment, because things could have been much worse. But what is really impacted is infrastructure. So if we want to look at growth coming back to 8-9%, and that should be our minimum level of aspiration, we need to look at infrastructure coming in with, say, full vigor. As I said, debottlenecking has started there. The momentum is not yet seen.
Picked up the way it should. Yeah.
We will need to watch the next 6 months to a year very carefully to see whether that cycle of investment happens. If that happens, going forward, we can take the economy back from, say, the 5 to 6% range to the 8 to 9%
range. And by when do you think we'll be able to achieve that? Because right now we're seeing that the slowdown is getting more and more stubborn. We're not being able to come out of the kind of slowdown.
Actually, if we see the impact of what the Cabinet Committee on Investments has been doing in the last 3 to 4 months, that probably should start kicking in the next 3 to 6 months.
Right.
This impact in terms of the infrastructure sector getting its confidence back, and the roadblocks on investment, they are moved away. Then you can see growth in the next 12 to 18 months.
12 to 18 months. But talking about this fiscal particularly, there have been a lot of downgrades coming on the growth number. While the government still believes we will deliver plus 5% growth, there are other brokerages who are saying that, growth could slip to sub 5% levels. What's the sense you're getting really of the kind of growth India will clock this year?
At this point in time, I'm with the government. I think we will look at probably between 5 and 5.5% growth. I'm basing this on the fact that if we did not have a rural economy which was as vibrant, or it had gone into a slowdown for whatever reason, I would think then 5% would have been a difficult target. But given what has happened in terms of the rural side the last 3-4 months, I think we are looking at 5.5%.
But what really went wrong? Why did we see such a big mess up happen on growth? Because we were doing fine, and then suddenly we're talking about sub 5% growth levels. When you think about the reasons for the slowdown, what according to you tops the list?
I would think that the actions taken in the context of governance that needed to be brought into play, as it were, I think created the slowdown. I'm not saying governance was not good. Governance, I think probably it was the right time to take those steps on the governance front. But what possibly could have been done is the resolution in terms of what needed to be done post getting the governance structures in should have been much faster. So I think we let stall things for too long a time. And that completely disrupted the infrastructure sector and consequential impact on the rest of the sectors. So I would think the steps that were taken to make sure that the environment issues were addressed, land issues were addressed, I think these were what really put projects on hold, as it were. Again, I repeat that these steps have to be taken.
Sure.
But what probably could have been done is the rollout of what post a properly governed structure should have been. That could have been faster.
Let me now talk about the appointment of Dr. Raghuram Rajan as the RBI governor. There was a lot of hope and expectation, and especially after his first statement, people were really seeing him as the savior of the Indian economy. And then disappointment after the monetary policy announcement when he decided to hike a repo rate. Do you think the overreaction on inflation or the focus on inflation is something that policymakers, particularly the central bank, now needs to relook at?
We could not have a better man at this point in time to be in that seat. He is a thinker, he is a practical man, and is very quickly, I think, understood what is happening in the economy. I would not go by what he has done at this point in time. I would go by how well he understands the issues, and that I can endorse. He understands them very,
Sure.
very well. We have seen him work earlier on the financial sector reform report, and he has given very simply 100 steps that need to be taken, small steps that need to be taken. And I was delighted that virtually on day one of those steps was rolled out. And all he has to do in terms of reforming, what he can do under his under him, as it were, are implement a few of those steps every month, and I think we get a long way. In terms of monetary policy, I think the first policy itself that one articulates, you can't expect him to work miracles. But you can see clarity in what he has done. It's very, very clear. For example, he has hiked the repo rate, and he has given a signal very simply to the market that I am going to watch the long-term rates very carefully.
Right.
And I think there needs to be a correction to the short-term
rates.
But I will do it in a calibrated manner. So a curve which you might say was a flat line or was inverted, he's trying to give shape to it.